Cindy. Tell us about Cindy. Who are you?
I'm first a mother. I work at Believers Church as student minister. I am a widow. I'm a loyal friend. I am a Christian learning how to trust God again. I am a girl who has been in church my whole life and never faced anything. Had a really good home. And then had to learn how to find God in the middle of a mess. I was a girl who always thought I could pray everything away. And I found faith is something you find in the middle of the mess. It doesn't necessarily keep you from all the messes. So, on most days, I've learned how to laugh again and laugh at just about everything and take things lightly. So, yeah.
So, tell us about the day, that day. Walk us through that.
There are multiple days that lead up to that day. I would say the first that day would be June 12th, 2014, and it was 2 days after my 8-year anniversary. And my daughter had just turned 7 months old, and my son was 3.5. And we went in just for, Matt went in just for a biopsy to figure out, worst case scenario was it would be precancerous, and 10-15 years we would have to figure out what to do. And they came back out and told me that he had stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and he was only 32 years old. That was the first day. And we never allowed them to tell us how long he had. Because we just expected God to move in some way, and didn't want to be bound by, for lack of better, a death sentence. Didn't want anybody to say how long he had. He died in faith, waiting on a miracle. And I would say the second day would be in October of 15, because it went away, even though the doctor said it couldn't. It didn't necessarily go away, it went dormant, but they couldn't find it. But in October 15, he had stopped taking chemo that year, and it came back, and when it did, it was with a vengeance. And that was the first time in my life that I ever questioned God. You know, if you don't heal, do you save? Because my whole life he had always answered. I mean, you know, it's not like I didn't have a breakup or some kind of, thing that I had to pray for. It's not like I was without hurt or pain, but nothing that I didn't always see him take care of. And it's the first time I ever just wondered, what am I doing? Have I been riding on the coattails of my good old Pentecostal family my whole life? Is this real to me? And And I finally came to 2 weeks before he died, which was August 7th, 2016. That day, about 2 weeks before that, it was just where I came to grips with I will serve you for who you are, not what you do for me. That, you know, I have prayed for 2 years for this. So either we get up out of this bed and we never come back because of a miracle, or he's without pain and he gets to go home. And I didn't bargain with God, but I said it may take me a minute, you know. I need a ton of grace. But I knew, I don't know. I just knew that no matter what, he was still God. And that I would find him in the middle of it. On that day, he had been in and out of ICU that whole summer of 16. And in and out of the hospital. And they finally said there was nothing they could do. There was no chemo, there was no medicine, there was nothing they could do. And I was supposed to take him home that night. It was a Friday afternoon. When the doctors came in, I was supposed to take him home. And there was just an uneasy feeling, and I knew something wasn't right. And I knew what the voice was, but I didn't know how to explain that to the social worker. So I just told her that I was uncomfortable and I didn't know why, but I couldn't take him home. And he almost died that night, and they brought him back. Not brought him back, but his temperature dropped and so low, and then he went, if I had taken him home, he would have died at home with my children. So that next day, they gave me, he started dropping again. They got him stable and then he started dropping again. And they gave me 15 minutes to make a life decision. And I chose mercy. I thought he had fallen. I thought he had fought hard enough. And so, I made the decision to let him go. And just a few hours later, that was that afternoon, oh God. Just a little over 12 hours later, he was gone.
Life afterwards.
Chaotic. Life afterwards is chaotic. For the first time, you know, when I told him goodbye, he was already gone. But it's like I breathed for just a minute because I didn't have to fight this anymore. What was left though was the aftermath, which was telling my children. Maverick, my son, was old enough to understand, because he'd seen his daddy before. He'd seen his daddy get sick, and then, you know. And his dad just 2 days before had promised to come home and play Legos. So Finley, my daughter, she's just 2, about to be 3. I breathed for a minute, but then it all, and I probably didn't deal. August was 3 years this year. I probably didn't deal until August of 2018. I just escaped. I kept finding places to go, things to deal with, to occupy my mind, and I didn't fully just let it all out. I think I tried to move forward so fast to pretend like something didn't exist, because if it didn't exist, it couldn't hurt. And but every year it got easier. In the after, I learned how to surround myself with people that could remind me on my worst days who I am. The after has finally gotten sweeter again, to where I enjoy the life that I have. And somewhere in the middle of the broken and chaos and a little bit of hell that we walked through, I have found there have been more people that I've been able to relate to than I ever have before. We've kind of gotten back to a new normal. And I like the life that I've been given, the second chance that I've been given.
What would you tell people who are struggling with their faith in God in this particular thing? How do you maintain faith?
You don't quit. You don't quit. You every day remind yourself. And there's some things you have to step out into faith and go, I don't get it, and I don't understand it. I remember being so angry. And I remember there were a couple of times that the kids would do something, you know, and I have no person to tap out with. So you just deal. And I remember it was one night, the kids were crying or wouldn't go to bed, it was something. And I remember going in the bathroom and I just looked up to heaven, and as much as I wondered if I'd get struck, I just said, this is your fault. I don't know what I'm doing, and I didn't ask for this. And if you had just given me what I asked for, none of us would be dealing, you know, with the anxiety or the pain or the hurt, the doubt. I don't know, I thought God wasn't big enough to understand, or that I felt like I couldn't be real or angry. And not quitting, just every day, even if all you've got is a millimeter of a moving forward. And surrounding yourself with people, I would say, would be the most important. When Matt got sick, I shut everybody out. He wanted everybody to come along for the miracle, and I wanted everybody to leave us alone. I didn't want anybody to know that it hurt. everybody would ask how it's going. Oh, we're fine. Everything's fine. But I would say surround yourself with people, because at some point you're going to forget who you are, who God is, and people will remind you of the fierce person that you are.
How do you refocus? How do you keep your mind focused?
Worship. Really. That was one of the hardest things for me to do, was worship, because worship takes you right into the presence of God, which was kind of what I was avoiding for a little bit. And I remember it was at the end of 2017, so it had been a little over a year, that I just began to turn on worship. And I would sit back in my little office here at church, and I'd kind of put the binders up because I didn't want anybody to walk in and think I'd lost my mind. But I'd have them worship and I'd just cry. And I cried it all out. Not all out, but I just cry. And I would worship it so that I could just put myself in a place where, because somewhere inside of me I still wanted to trust God again. I wanted to hear Him again. And so I began to worship until it just got easier. On rough mornings, I turn on worship. Doesn't mean I don't like other stuff. I do. But it always resets me. Refocuses me.
Look in that camera and tell the woman that's going to be watching something, like empower her. She's looking for something. What would you tell her?
Don't quit on the hardest days. And on the days that you have forgotten who you are. Don't for a second quit. When you can't open your Bible, and you can't find the words to pray, find somebody that reminds you who you are, and don't quit. Because on the other side it's worth it. And on the other side it is sweet. And on the other side there is peace. In the middle of all the chaos, there is peace. He was always the kind of person that when you walk in a room, he'd make you smile and laugh, and he was usually the one at parties or an event. If you ever saw anybody over on the floor doing the worm or something like that, he was usually the one dancing or cutting up. He was always the one. He taught my, oh gosh, Maverick was maybe 2.5, and he could barely hold Legos, and he would have them put it together. Like, he had these great skills, but then it was kind of like the Lego movie with Resident Business, where he wanted to glue them all together because he didn't really want Maverick to play with them. Maverick wanted to play with him, and because he wanted to take care of him so well. But